And I always have time to listen to the music or link it with a certain incident that happened today or something happened with my friend that I can then dwell about it and kind of put it in dance. And it's such a fun thing to do because it feels real, you know, and it feels like a playground for me. And that's why my classes was magical.
It's therapy in this very intense, true way that if I'm sad and I go for a class, whatever that class may be, if I got competitive, whatever I did in the class, I always come out joyful.
It's all these things, right? So it's, for me, it's like dance, yes, dance is great, but what is it then about the dance? What is it within that I can sort of like stretch out and extend into my life and how I raise my kids?
Hi everyone, I'm Apshi.
I'm Maybelline.
And I'm January.
And welcome to the Woke Up Show. So firstly, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to talk about this. I mean, I feel like I'm always talking about dance, so it's nice to do so in this setting. And before we get into it, maybe you can introduce yourselves. Maybelline, you want to go first?
Sure. Hi, my name is Maybelline, and I'm a dancer, creative director and co-founder of Babel Dance, and also co-founder of Mayhem Jam.
Nice. How long have you been dancing for?
I started taking classes, like weekly classes maybe when I was 16, but it was on and off. Properly taking dance when I was 21. I'm 34 this year, so about 13 years.
13 years, wow, yeah. That's a long time.
Yeah.
My name is January. I am trained in classical Indian dance. I started when I was 8. I started Indian classical dance when I was 8. I started ballet when I was 4. I've been dancing for a really long time. I can't do the math.
Your whole life, basically.
All your life. I was just about to say that. All your life.
That's amazing. So what was your introduction into the dance world? Maybe like, you know, being 16, what sort of like got you to first start taking class?
I just wanted to be cool. Really, and now I am.
Yes!
But actually,
what type of dance did you start with?
Back then, they call it new jazz, which is really Britney Spears, Pussycat Dolls, that kind of style. But actually, now that you're saying started, now I just remember the first time I performed was actually at church. When I was 13 years old for a Christmas concert. I was a little angel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that first class, were you just like, you know, I just want to try something, they look sexy, cool?
Yeah, I
was
was just sick of being an angel.
Yeah. What about you, January? I mean, I'm sure, was it like something you told your parents you wanted to do or something?
I honestly, I don't remember. I don't remember how or why I started ballet classes. I think my mom may have brought my sister and I there just to try it out. And I seemed to enjoy the classes. You know, I don't know it was so much about the dance or if it was just me following someone who's telling me what to do, not really questioning it too much. And then my father, so I'm of mixed ethnicity. My father, who is Chinese, grew up on Peel Road, and he grew up very near a temple, and he used to watch I would think performances during Navaratri. And I think he's always had that memory in his mind, in his head, that he wanted his daughter to take this up eventually if he had a daughter. So when I was 8 years old, I was still doing my ballet, and my parents knew, or they could see that I enjoyed dance classes. He came home after watching Ramli and the troupe, and he said, I think you would like this, learning this dance style. At that point in time, my exposure to Indian dance was really just Bollywood dance. So I
just seen on TV, in
whatever,
movies,
what we see on TV. You know, I think at that time it was like Muthu was the film, and so I thought, I don't know if that is the style for me. And he said, it's not like that. Why don't you go for go and watch a rehearsal session or go and watch a class? Then you decide if you want to join.
Okay.
So I said, okay. So I went, and again, I don't really remember what I saw, but I knew that whatever it is that I saw, I really wanted to do. So I started, like, I don't know, the following Sunday, and then it became ballet class weekly and Bharatanatyam. I started with Bharatanatyam. And then when I was 13 years old, I started Odissi. because as I was like, when I was 11, 12, I started noticing that there was a difference between the dance I was doing and the dance that I was watching my seniors do. And I was, you know, I thought...
So what's the difference actually between Bharatanatyam and Odissi?
Oh, there's a lot. So from the physical standpoint, it's the costume. The costume is completely different. The jewelry is different. Bharatanatyam has more of gold jewelry. The Odissi is silver. We wear silver. Okay. You know, for Odissi we wear like a sari blouse, and then we tie the sari into like pants. Whereas with Bharatanatyam, it's like full. We know with the sari sort of covering, you know, the chest. And then the hairstyle is different as well. Odissi, your hair is in a bun. With Bharatanatyam, you have the chadar with the braid, the long braid. The bells are different. Everything is different. So that is just physically. And then there's the music. It's different. The language is different. The dance itself is different. So I started noticing. I didn't know that there was a difference either. But then slowly, I think my whole being preferred Odissi. So I started Odissi when I was 13. I did my Arangetram when I was 18, Bharatanatyam Arangetram, and Arangetram is your solo debut where the guru sort of presents you to the community. And then funnily enough, that's when I stopped Bharatanatyam and I just continued with Odissi all the way.
Wow. I think that notion, you know, of with your dance teacher, that relationship, you know, that they do become this big presence in your life, especially when you join at such a young age. I started dancing when I was 6, and it was probably just me being like a theatrical child and my mom being like, yes, go dance class, this is channel the energy there, you know. And like me and my sister loves the tutus and all that, and as a kid it's not like you don't understand it's an art or anything. You're just there you're just there to learn, and then that adoration that you have for your teacher, if you're lucky to have that will really I think keep you also in the sport. Because I think when you're like 13 to 16, you're like, why am I doing this? I want to be hanging out with my friends after school, and now I have to dance every day. So that is always like an interesting thing. But before we get into that, how do you feel like, you know, joining dance, starting dance has changed you as a person? Or impacted you as a person?
I think it has definitely helped me find myself, my voice, my expression, what I like, what I don't like, the kind of music I like, what I want to express, what are my thoughts, and most importantly, I would say confidence. If I didn't have dance, I wouldn't be able to sit here today and talk to you like that. Or be able to present myself very clearly of what I want to say.
You seem like such a confident person, Maybelline. I would not have you know, it's amazing that it's dance that kind of got you there.
Big time. Because I feel like when I was a lot younger, I was very shy and very much of an introvert. So dance definitely helped me get out of it. Yeah, it is such a beautiful thing, isn't it? What about you, January? I mean, so much of your life you've been dancing.
Yeah, so I think it was, for me, it's the opposite. Maybe perhaps because the training is in a classical form. So there's not much questioning. It's really you just do what you're told. You don't really question the self. You don't question your identity. You are really just following a syllabus and a tradition, whether it's ballet, whether it's you know, Bharatanatyam, whether it's Odissi, right? So you are following rules. So I think for the longest time, I would think I didn't really have much of any clue as to who I was or what I wanted or what I didn't want until I left my dance school. And then it was like, I decided to leave when I was 22. And then there was like this whole deep down spiral of not really knowing who I was or whether I even enjoyed dance in the first place. Talking has been very hard for me, speaking in public, because I've only danced. I'm never really heard. That's one. Number two, I think I also have a huge fear of dance as well, because I only know what I've memorized. So there's also a fear of doing the wrong thing, which then brings me to being very fearful of, let's say, freestyle.
Freestyle, that's exactly what I was saying. I hate freestyle because I'm like, where's the choreography?
I don't know what to do with my hands, you know? So, yeah, I think I've done like a class or two at Maybelline and I'm just like
At the end,
freaking
they're
out.
like, everybody's sexy freestyling. I'm like,
I don't know how
got,
to
like,
sexy
one
dance,
A and
okay?
then
I really, like, sexy dancing is like my fear. I don't know how to sexy dance. So, you know, because I don't know what to do with my body.
Where does it come from? Yeah.
So I find that really quite strange,
Yeah.
you know, because but if it's just improvising within the form, I'm still okay. And just like, you know, moving around and going from posture to posture, pose to pose, I'm still okay. But when I'm like completely, you know, in a like hip hop class or in a K-pop class or in a freestyle jam, mayhem, sexy dance, I don't know what to do.
No, I completely
I'm
feel
pretty
that.
sure if I have to do anything you do, I would feel the exact same way. It's just we're not used to it. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when I stopped dancing, I was 18. It's when I went to university in New York, and that was like my parents were like, "No need to study dance in uni lah." And I was kind of like, I kind of want to be a dancer. And then I was like, you know, it's fine. Like, I do agree that it may not be the feasible choice. And so when I left, so it wasn't like a big dramatic, for me it was like I left dance, I just went to university and it ended for me. And suddenly I was like, oh my God, I'm free. And I haven't been free my whole life in this like very unique way because I loved that. It wasn't something that I perceived as a negative impact on my life while I did it, but I had done it for so long and I was so deep in the passion and in the love, and my best friends were all in dance class, and I looked at my dance teacher, and I still do. I just looked at her with so much adoration. I want to be like her, and all of those feelings. And especially in my last few years, I became very serious about it. I would like control what I ate. I would do a lot of like Pilates prior to doing the dance, like everything to squeeze yourself into being this ballerina. Or I also did modern dance and tap dance, and so like just to kind of be able to be that dancer. And the problem with dance, I think, is that it does reward you for that. It's that like all that, you know, like counting your calories and dancing so much on, like getting the smallest I'd ever been gave me the best grades I'd ever gotten. And I don't think I significantly changed as a dancer. I think I just got skinnier and I just got a little bit more like crazy about it, you know. And so those things, it was very hard for me to mediate in my mind what any of it meant. So I was just in it, and I just loved it so much, and I was like, I get to be in the front, I get to be the dance with the boy, you know, like, you know, all those things. And then I left, and I was like, who is she? I can't dance in a club. Like, my friends are like, dance. I was like, I don't know how to dance in a club.
I don't know how to dance in a club.
Like, and then everywhere I go, I'm like, I look like a ballerina. Everything I do, like, I can't like stop the hands from doing the thing. So it took me a while. I think for that first year, especially, I just was like, I don't know who I am without it, because it had been me for so long. But it was also very nice to discover myself in this way, completely not even in Malaysia, not even in anything. And I didn't dance for years after that. And I remember the first class I came back, I went for a lyrical class at Dance Pulse, and the instructor, she knew me, and she's like, oh, she used to dance, right? I was like, please don't remember me, because body can't do what body used to be able to do. And that was, it's tough. That's a tough thing to kind of unlearn
or get through.
It's so interesting how different, because we were just talking about, because I started super late, you guys started early, so the effects of dance on our lives are so different. It's opposite, which is very interesting.
I think also being in dance during puberty is a very like, if you don't develop like boobs and hips, like it's okay, but if you do, then you're trying to force your body into something it isn't. It's very difficult, and you start like, it was so much of it was for me like I wanted to like get rid of. I was like, told my mom breast reduction the minute I got boobs. I want to be a ballerina.
Oh, I should have been a ballerina.
And then when you leave dance, you're like, oh wait, these things are like things that people like. Like then you're like, I don't understand. So I mean, but did you have, either of you have any like negative experiences when it came to dance?
Oh my God, I feel like
I mean, of course, we love it. We love dancing. It's definitely with reverence. I look at it, but I can't ignore that it is.
Okay, so I think, where do I start? I think, oh goodness, starting at a very young age, you don't really, it's not even young age. I think I also started in a different time. You know, I think we're now in, you know, it's been
2022 is
almost
different.
like 30, 40 years of, you know, so it's a different time now. But with dance, it's very physical. Yes, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
It's a, you know, but we also failed to address how it affects the mind and emotions and mental health, definitely. But the thing is, when you have a teacher or when you're in the arts, you fail to also realize that your teacher is another human being, right? Who also has probably a great deal of pain, and who was raised in a different time altogether. And you know, with dance, it's very sensitive. You know, if you were a male growing up, learning dance, and really saying, "This is who I want to be," you know, as a woman as well. But I don't know how to say what I want to say. But when you are raised so closely with somebody as your teacher,
it's like a second parent.
And you are, I mean, I found myself in my dance school a lot more than I was at home. You know, if I wasn't in school, I was in dance. I was in practice. You know, we started touring and traveling at a very young age. We started performing at a very, very young age. And I feel that what happened is, while dance and performance is important, we never sort of balanced it with more holistic and wholesome values. You know, I think even nowadays, like with parents as well, the first thing, I mean, we send our kids to dance classes, but we don't really realize what we want from it. You know, I think we only think we feel that the only thing that dance will give us is some time on stage. We don't really realize that there is also a community that supports the people that are on stage. You know, there's like lighting design, there's set design, there's costume design, you know. So when you are in dance class, I think we also need to raise and nurture, let's say, children to understand that the stage is not the only place. The stage is not the goal. The stage is not the carrot. The stage is not the success. So because, and I think this is key to breaking this toxic culture of everything that you and I went through. You know, because the stage then, from the stage, then we have all these small little issues that pop up. You know, the physical appearance, representation, competition with your friends, competition from moms of the dancers who are in that center spot. You know, so there are a lot of things that come out of that spotlight. You know, and people also not realizing that is in fact the curse. That is perpetuating everything that you mentioned, and I think is the root of a lot of trauma from all of us.
I never thought about it like that. It's that, like, if I am not center, middle, front, I have failed.
It's so weighted, you know, just that spot, that X in the middle. You know, and the thing is, it's like this unspoken elephant that everybody wants. It's like it becomes like Hunger Games or, you know, whatever lah.
It really is.
You know, and then what happens is all this like toxic camaraderie or this fake you know, and relationships.
It's so hard to navigate because I'll be with my best friend. You do it, you do it. You do it again, you do it again, and you're like, I want to be happy for you.
Rather than let's all take turns.
Yeah.
Or dismantle that positioning altogether. You know, how can we then incorporate everybody? You know, like as the grown-up, as the teacher, it's up to them to actually, like, if you see all these things that are festering, you need to or figure out how to put a stop to this. You know, because we don't realize it. I think parents also, they don't realize it. And I mean, more and more, art needs to make you feel good at the end of it, you know, but
Not just the viewers.
not just the
well.
audience, not just the viewer, not just the the performance. And I think I feel we need to more bring to light these issues, because it's really not just as simple as dropping your kid for dance class for 45 minutes or an hour every week without realizing then what really is this culture that your child is being brought up in.
Yeah.
Especially because it's children. It's not grown-ups who have an agency or who even realize what is going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so true. And I think even with me, I had such a positive experience. I had an instructor who often gave a lot of chances for everybody to get that position, but even then, we still had all those feelings. So it's very difficult, I guess, to dismantle it as a whole.
Yeah.
But what about you, Maybelline?
My experience is literally almost all the total opposite of January, which is it's so fascinating to me, because in the community that I'm in, I wouldn't consider myself hip hop, to be honest, because in hip hop there's a huge range, and I am more commercial, meaning I do more performance, backup dancing, shows, music videos, where the hip hop community is mostly on freestyling and battles. Yeah, so I used to do that when I was much younger and where I knew nothing and was fearless. Now I know more and I'm scared.
Aren't we all?
But when I started performing, most of the choreographers I've worked with always rotated everyone. So I never really felt that I had to fight for it as much. Yeah, it's just like, in fact, if you're the type of choreographer, because we all kind of will somehow get shows and we take turns to do it, and if you're the one that always puts yourself in the center, like everyone will be like, okay, like, but so no one really does it. Everyone will just, okay, you're stronger at this, you do this, and then you're better at this, no, okay, and then we rotate to this formation. So I've never really had to go through that.
But you see, it's models like this, that is so important. And that I think as children or, a lot of dance schools as well, they don't even realize that models like these exist. Because it becomes like, oh, it was done this way, this is the only way then we're going to do it, And
also to be able to be in that position and not, if the instructor tells me, okay, you got to go to the back, oh, fine, I'm not good enough. I'm good, that's why I'm going to the back. That is immediately the feeling that overcomes you, that it's not just, oh, this is this person's turn to shine. It's that, oh, I was not good enough for that. Okay, now let's just go and like mentally beat ourselves up while this class is going on.
And I remember one of the first few auditions I went was for Miss Nina's team, and that time I knew nothing about hip hop. So when they did choreography, I was like, okay, if I can kill that, I can do it. And then the choreographer was like, okay, everyone form a circle. And I was like, okay, circle? Yeah, okay, are we going to do a routine? And he's like, okay, put on music, okay, freestyle. And I was like, and I knew if I wanted to get the spot, I have to do it. But I just had no balls to step into the circle. So I didn't go. And I was so sure I didn't get the spot. But then after that, I got it, surprisingly. And I spoke to him, like, how come I got it? And he was like, actually, I didn't want to give it to you because you didn't step in the circle. You didn't step in to represent yourself. But because all the other dancers thought you had something, so I decided to give you a chance. And then he explained to me how important is it to step in the cipher, we call it cipher, and to represent your style or who you are as a person. And so that really stuck with me, that this is why I love hip hop and what it stands for, because it always pushes you. Like, the spotlight is there, you have to want to go and take it. And if you want to take it, you have to just do it. No one is going to be there to encourage you, not no one. Sometimes there are, but you have to want it enough to show yourself. So that really pushes us to take the spot, But also know that you don't hold the spot for too long, you let people shine. But that mentality I really like of hip hop.
That's amazing. Do you still feel like some of these, like, these feelings still persist for you with these, all that, the baggage of it, because the positive also still persists for sure. There's no doubt. Even the other day I was in actually a Babel class and I was like watching the dancers do it, and I just was like, I could feel that I have to control myself to not get competitive so much. So I have to seriously control myself, and that's when I'm like, okay, take a break from dance because you're getting competitive. Because I was watching someone, I was like, she didn't hit the beat. And I was like, why did you think that? Like, why does that even matter? We're here to enjoy, and it doesn't matter who's the best and who's the worst. But I had the thought, and I was like, okay, Abshi, like this is not cool. Like, you shouldn't be looking at that. But it's still in me. It's still that, like, I want. It's like, okay, I don't have to be number one, but I want to be at least in the top 5. Like, you know.
But there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I think it's good that you use that to push yourself to, you know their weakness, you know their strength, and you know your weakness. You're like, okay, let me show you.
Yeah, I think it's sort of like what you attach to it, you know, and it's the shame. It's always shame, right?
Yeah.
So the moment that pops up, I would think, you know, all you need to do is just like, oh, there she is again. Okay, I see you. Chill out, sit back. But it's also okay because you know, I mean, okay, dances are very competitive. You can't get around that. It's just like that, you know. I mean, a huge deal of insecurity, definitely. But we're also perfectionists because we do have to follow the music. Yeah. You know, and when they do miss that beat, it does like, oh, why? You know, like you know, it happens. But it's also okay. I don't think you need to like beat yourself up about it, and also like make it seem like sometimes give it too much airtime. You know, you just need to like chill out. Go to your next class a different person. Like every day. Just take each day at a time. When the day is done, tomorrow will be. You know, it's a new day. So I think I don't really feel. I think I've learned how to deal with when these things pop up, when the negative side sort of like creeps up, you know, from the depths, and then you think, I mean, you see it, you can't really get rid of it altogether, but you notice it, you acknowledge it, but it's really not.
It's not the worst.
It's not the worst thing.
And it's also like in whatever it is that those negative things that came out of it, it also works for us in a lot of other ways. Like to be a little bit competitive is good because you're gonna get ahead, and like to be able to like perform under pressure, you know, when you're dancing and your teacher's like is shouting at you and you have to smile, and then there's a stage and you're like, I feel like with that's one of the best things to come out of it, is that ability to like, yes, I can do it. I can do it. Like I can think of all these 100 things and I can still smile and do it. Yeah. That
you don't have to smile all the time.
Yeah, true.
You don't have to smile through it as well. It's also okay, you know. It's okay to just acknowledge also like the shadows. Yeah. You know, it's not. I mean, the light is the light, whatever. You know, but when these things happen and you feel like you're breaking and crumbling inside, it's also okay to crumble and break. You know. I think this thing also. I have this huge issue also about the smiling and looking like.
It's easy, make it look easy.
It's effortless. It's not. It's really not, you know. And as you grow older and your body sort of catches up and time catches up, I think we also need to be really gentle with ourselves first, you know, and also like acknowledge, okay, you know what, I don't think that is the best thing for my knees or the best thing for my hips or the best, you know, like we also need to say, okay, so you need to there your Abshi, I need to there my little Jan, you know, and say like, it's okay. It's okay because I think the first step towards healing as well is to stand up for your little Abshi who was hurt and who was injured and who was, you know, because once you do that for you, it'll be a lot easier for you to do that for the next person and pay it forward.
And I definitely think spaces like Babel that you've kind of cultivated there, like it is in a sense, like it has kind of like pushed me into like a much more positive like dance, because it's also not, it's completely out of my comfort zone. It's not a ballet class, it's not a lyrical class, it's like heels, and I've never really danced in heels like that, trying to be sexy before. So like those first few classes, I was like, oh my god, I can't do it, I can't take myself seriously. But to like be in that space where it's so empowering and there is no competition, you don't feel that at all, that has been like, I've been like, oh, I can actually dance often and not kind of fall into those prior ways of thinking. That's, I think, that's amazing that you've been able to do that.
Thank you. Yeah, I have a very great team of teachers who also believe in the same thing as I do. Yeah. And have been able to uphold all these values and to create a safe space for many people to do so. But we really do get a lot of dancers like you who has been conditioned from a young age and suddenly now having to
dance.
Yes. We have a lot of so then when and a lot of them share the same sentiments as you as well, and when they say that they're able to break free and be themselves and also be lost and don't know who they are, it's very interesting to see them blossom and be them.
Exactly, and then also just to be okay if like someone's like, oh yeah, I didn't get it, it's okay.
And I know it's a very tough thing for a lot of you to not yeah.
That is the worst.
And that's one thing that I always tell my students, or I know my team does this too, is that if you mess up when you're performing, when we do in smaller groups and you mess up, the main thing is to continue to do it and not be kind of hung up on the mistake that you did, and just pick up the next thing you know the fastest and just go for it, because don't dwell on it. No one cares.
Yeah, nobody cares.
It's just you care.
But I think, like, let's flip it a little bit. What was the best thing for you that came out of dancing?
I think the best thing would be to be able to have the connection with myself, with people, with music.
Yeah.
These three things.
The way you listen to music would change, right?
Yeah. And the way I feel, or just having that mode to express, and sometimes even discover things I don't even know about myself, and to be able to connect to different people that I probably wouldn't meet if it's not for dance, you know. So that's just such a great thing.
Yeah.
The connection.
What were you, January?
I think dance has helped me sort of shut not to say shut the world out, but shut myself out sometimes. You know, like, okay, so I have 3 kids. They're not very old, but especially during the lockdown, right? So I have a small space in my basement, and a lot of people come and ask me, like, so do you teach your children dance? And I'm like, no, it's my time. It's my space. And at times when I just feel like I need to shut out the world, and for everything to just kind of stop, and for me to just be, I go downstairs and, you know, I dance. And I practice, and, you know, it's my time. It's time really that doesn't belong to anyone else except me.
Yeah.
So that is what dance brings to me.
Yeah, the best part. I feel like it just, even like you said earlier, confidence. Like I think I was a confident child, and then not so confident in puberty, but I always knew when I was dancing that I could be confident, and I knew I was good at it, so I could do it. But I also think that it's therapy in this very intense, true way, that if I'm sad and I go for a class, whatever that class may be, if I got competitive, whatever I did in the class, I always come out joyful.
Yeah.
There's so much joy in that, and I always make it a point that if I go to a class and an instructor brings that joy out of me and out of everybody, I want to tell them, because, like, thank you for bringing that, because I don't know what it is. What do you think it is that?
I don't know. I feel like I've now come to, like, really enjoy, like, circuit training. And I feel like circuit training brings me a lot more joy than a dance practice class, because, you know, at the end of it, like, my back hurts and my knee hurts and then everything sort of hurts. But it's also maybe knowing what to do and just that movement. I think as long as the body spends some time moving in any way, you kind of, it's also what endorphins, right? Is it endorphins? Yeah.
And that mind-body connection.
Yeah, and at times it's time spent without you thinking about anything else. So it's you just coming into the present. So I feel that I've been trying to bring that sort of mindfulness or consciousness into everything I do, so that I can be present with whatever it is I need to do. Even if it's, like, you know, vacuuming the house, or washing the toilet, or preparing food for the family, or washing a sink full of dishes, because it's every day, it's laundry, it's folding, it's all these things, right? So for me, it's like dance, yes, dance is great, but what is it then about the dance? What is it within that I can sort of, like, stretch out and extend into my life and how I raise my kids? Because dance is not just going into the classroom. How then can our lives be whatever it is that we enjoy doing? You know, so that for me is my search right now.
That's amazing. Like, I never really thought of it, like, to pull it out from that space. What about you, Maybelline? How do you feel that, like, this therapeutic side of dance, like, has, you know, impacted you, and how does it work for you?
Before I go into it, I remember taking a class from January during the lockdown, and it was just breathing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was just breathing, and I didn't know what I was really getting myself into, but I've always wanted to connect with her. There's something powerful about this woman. and I loved how simple it was, and it was just just allowing yourself to breathe and having support from the walls or anything, and just, wow, that opened up my mind, because it was something so simple that anyone can do, but just being in tune with your breath and your body and allowing it to feel. That I try to carry that also whenever I have the time, or whenever I make time to just have my own session to freestyle. And I find that it's exceptionally well whenever I freestyle in the shower. And just like low lights or candles and just dancing, because you relax with like hot water or cold water, whatever. Hot water, yeah, we're not psychos. Hot water. And
boiling hot water.
I made it cold water.
Okay, I do cold water in the morning, but at night I like hot water, like boiling hot, yeah. And oh man, I feel like at those moments that I have to myself when I dance just feels like similar like what you said. It's just a time for you. With your thoughts, or even no thoughts, you're just going with it. And it makes me feel so much more calm. It makes me feel safe. It makes me feel like I got myself, like no matter what happens, this is me, and this is the person or the soul or the spirit or the space that I can come back to no matter what.
Yeah.
And I feel that that's so important, because I can't imagine how people go through life without doing something like that, because life is hella tough.
Life's hard. It's long.
Yeah, so being able to do that. So that's one thing on a personal note. And then I met another dancer that we had very crazy connection, and that was another layer of language that we've seen it in movies and videos, and the dancers are, oh, so cheesy, yeah, y'all connect, you just want to get together. Like, but when I feel it, also I feel it with Divya, which is her kind of like her junior, January's junior. And it's just amazing when you feel the connection with someone where you're really not using words, and it's just your soul and your spirit and your movement that is able to connect and exchange. And wow, and that kind of that connection of it's so much power. I can't even explain it. I can't use words to explain it, but it's something that I feel it's out of the world. Like, and I'm so lucky to be able to experience that with people. Yeah, such a privilege.
Yeah, I think there's so much to dance. And there was an instructor at one of your classes, Azrina, I think, and we were all doing the choreography. Nobody could get it, honestly. I was like, some days, you just can't get it. Yeah. Nobody could get it. And then she just looked at us, she said, free yourself, just dance. And I was like, yes, okay, that's it. That's what it is. It's that you've just freed yourself from everything in that moment, and you're just dancing, and you're just choreography, get it, not get it, you're moving, you're feeling it. And I was just like, she just kind of said it offhand, and it just, the whole day I was thinking about that. I was like, that's what it is. Yeah. So with the dance scene in Malaysia, did you ever feel that you could be a professional dancer here? With the scene that, like, when we see like New York City Ballet and all of that, like there's all of that in America, but here in Malaysia.
Honestly, sometimes I can't believe what I'm doing. Like, I can't believe that I'm in this position right now.
Yeah.
I didn't think... I still struggle with actually saying that I'm a professional dancer because I didn't have classical training like you guys. I feel like I cheated my way in and somehow made it. Yeah, so I still struggle with saying that. And yeah, that's it actually. Yeah.
But you are.
I am.
Yeah, you are.
I am. I somehow made it. I should be very proud of myself. Yeah, but I think it's something I'm very insecure about, that I didn't spend time and effort doing all the trainings and knowing exactly what I'm doing or teaching. Yeah. I don't know whether I'm answering your question, to be honest.
No,
actually.
but I do think that that's an interesting point, that like without the classical training, how that has affected you. Like, has it made you feel like that's why you can't say you're a professional dancer?
Yeah.
No.
Really.
Yeah.
No.
Because I feel very commercial. I feel like I'm a very commercial product of dance.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. Okay.
That is actually how you mostly be a professional dancer these days,
True.
Because like, honestly, right, classically trained dancers, I feel like it's okay, I wouldn't say it's harder, but the route is the same.
Yeah.
You know, you just become dance teacher,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, we don't have that many also like running the up and running professional dance companies to join,
troops, yeah.
dance troops, you know, that represent. Yeah.
There's not much ballet. There
isn't
maybe like
much-
contemporary a little bit.
maybe, but it's
Classical.
tough. It's
Yeah.
tough. You know, I feel like it's a lot. Okay, I'm not going to say like easy or not easy or what, but I think that there is more avenues actually.
That's true.
On your end.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's
As
absolutely
opposed
true.
to, yeah.
I mean, like they said, the chances of becoming like a prima ballerina in any like dance troupe, it's like something like 0.001%. So they're like, why do we all aspire to something that's like nearly impossible?
Yeah.
I think because I associate the word professional with like knowing all the basics and the techniques
The
and the foundation, the terms,
Yeah.
and when you do a turn, you know what it's called, and you know
Yeah.
which muscle to use. And I just winged it and somehow made it look good, you know. And I know that it's something that I can go back when, you know, now that I'm here where I am, and then slowly take it up. And yeah, it's just because I haven't made time for it because of work and business and trying to stay afloat and trying to make it as a professional dancer. But it's something I know that I will need to work on. Yeah. But yeah, because I associate the term professional with that.
With classic.
With all
classical,
the
yeah.
classical terms, foundation technique.
I think it works in your favor though.
Yeah, 100%.
I think because you lead with heart.
Yeah. And you have a lot of swag, and I feel like if you did ballet for so many years, it's like really hard to have swag.
It's very hard to have swag.
I think you can only do it if, let's say in overseas, because they train both sides.
Yeah.
The street side and ballet, so they have both sides to balance each other out. But the way we do, or because Malaysia doesn't have as much avenue or opportunities for dancers, so it's tough to have the time and money to do both.
And that's another thing, dance is expensive. It's so expensive. I was unaware when I was growing up, but looking back, I'm like, wow, my parents really funneled a lot of money to allow us to do this. It's also a privilege to just be able to be classically trained.
That's true.
Yeah. I don't think that's like talked about as much, that you can't just, it's not, and like anybody can go for ballet class or classical Indian dance. Like all of it it costs money. And somehow it costs money to be like working that hard.
Yeah. It costs money to for the trauma.
My parents pay for my trauma.
So how do you cope with the feelings of being burnt out? Do you ever feel it? Have you ever felt it? I mean,
Gosh, yeah.
Yeah?
There's so many times where I just feel like, you know what? I think I'm done, and then I'll message my friends. I think I'm done. They're like, yeah, you'll never be done. And I'm like, no, I'm done. Finished, no more, you know? And then you think, okay, where is this coming from? Why are you done? What exactly is the problem here? You know, is it the training? Is it the practice? Are you just being lazy? You know? And then you think, you know what?
Tired?
Are you just tired? You know, like, so it's a lot, because really my full time is the kids. You know, so I'm a stay-at-home mom, and there really isn't much pockets of time in between whatever I need to do, in between mothering. But somehow I keep telling myself that this is for you. This is for you. I'm telling myself this is for me, as if my mom is telling me this is what I need for me. You know, so during the lockdown, I started teaching. I started teaching online. It started with group classes, weekly group classes, and then it became one-on-one classes. So for those students who felt like they still wanted to continue with the method, my methodology, or with the space that we share together. So it's now been like 2.5, coming to 3 years of this group of students, and it's tough. It's tough to do this every week with, like, you know, when your whole day is just blocked, and I'm just running around doing stuff, washing things, laundry, folding, and then I run downstairs and I start my class. But every time I finish the class, I feel great. I feel great because I've shared my space with someone, and these classes actually have helped me continue dancing, because I now feel that there's only so much I can practice on my own, but when I'm watching somebody else and I'm correcting and reviewing, I am also questioning what exactly it needs, or how do I then create a generous space? How do I create a shared space? How do I affirm someone else? How do I repair someone else's trauma? And how do I repair their relationship with dance? Because for so long, I've been working on my own relationship with it. How can I then now pay it forward? You know, because I feel this is the only way we can keep growing and keep doing. Because if I just also float around in my own trauma, it really doesn't help anybody. And this is, I feel, for me, the best way to keep going and solve my burnt out issues, you know, to share it also.
That's a beautiful way of dealing with it, though, to share it with other people and get that connection in that way.
Yeah.
What about you, Maybelline? Do you feel that?
Total opposite from her. I get burnt out from sharing. Because I teach a lot of classes for the last 4 or 5 years, and because I was building a brand and building consistency, so it's the output and output after output that I feel like maybe after 2 years, I was just repeating the same thing. And because when I started Babel Dance, no, before Babel Dance, when I was just working for Babel, all I had to do was just to teach. So. And I always have time to listen to the music or link it with a certain incident that happened today, or something happened with my friend that I can then dwell about it and kind of put it in dance. And it's such a fun thing to do because it feels real, you know, and it feels like a playground for me. And that's why my classes was magical. There was something about it that was just, I was very proud of it. And then I started Babel Dance, where I had to build a team, the business, the brand, man, and then the lockdown. So even after lockdown, it was tough because I had so many different roles already, and I was just teaching classes because I had to, and that burnt out feel was tough because I feel like people are paying to come to your class, and you're supposed to deliver the best you can because they give time, effort, and money. So for me, the only way to deal with it really is to take a break. Take a break and not dance, or take a break and don't do the dance you do. Go take someone else's classes, something you're unfamiliar, and just be in their magical place. And just absorb. And that's tough when you own a business and you have to keep it running.
I was going to say that because dance is a heavily passionate thing to also then have the business element in there. It's difficult because you don't have as much time to sit in the music, think about the experiences, how you're going to move the body to all of that connection.
So honestly, I'm still trying to find a balance. I feel like because now that I have a bigger team, I'm slowly working towards being able to offload and offhand on certain things, and to not feel guilty when I take breaks. I always feel very guilty if I have to take like 1 week. It's like, oh man, what if the other teacher then wants to take a break because I'm taking a break, and then what's going to happen to the other teacher, and then what is going to happen to business? And I feel I have to set an example, but I want everyone else to be able to take breaks. But like, oh man, it's just all these questions.
Creating that culture. It's not easy.
And so I was just telling my team that we need to start really looking out for each other, and then having everyone to be able to take breaks, and we just cover each other. But it has to kind of plan it out properly so that it doesn't affect the business. But I feel like just completely ditching your space and go to someone else's space works, because the input. Like when I took her class, just that suddenly it's so simple, but just the input, you feel refreshed, and then you're able to link something about yours to theirs, and that's why it's magic.
Definitely. That's such a nice way to think about it. Just to go to somebody else's space and kind of enjoy and take it in. Was there ever a moment where you really felt like you're never going to dance again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. After I left the dance company I was at, I was 22, and then I wasn't really sure whether I wanted to dance or not. I wasn't sure if I liked it. I wasn't sure about anything because it was there, a part of my childhood for so long. I then got a job in like public relations for 3 months because that was my minor in uni. And then after 3 months, I resigned because I'm not the best at client servicing, and I was just finding my own agency, so I didn't really want to jump into becoming a yes man again. So I met my now husband there, and then we got married so quickly after that, and then I had children about 2 years after that. So during this period, dance was not in my life. In fact, I met my husband when I was not dancing, and it would eat at you, but really for the wrong reasons as well, because it was just, oh, you're not dancing, and then you associate that with shame, and you associate that with being unsuccessful, wasted time, middle age, whatever, housewife, nobody, you know, all this like things that you grow up with or within the community, and so you and that made me really insecure, upset, depressed, and you know, I really also wasn't the best mom, because in the back of my head it was just I couldn't enjoy the present, because in the back of my mind it's, okay, when are you going to start, when are you going to do this, when are you why aren't you doing that? So it was, you know, all these things that's in your head, and then I thought, oh my goodness, is this really the end? How, and if not, how am I going to solve this issue? Because I felt like there were no safe spaces for me to do a class. And if I couldn't...
And that first class back is so scary.
It's so scary, but it's also, you don't, so I didn't know where to go. I couldn't even do, and I told myself, I just wanted to do a class without all the baggage that comes along with it. So it became then, I had to make my own classroom, and I had to do my own class, and I had to become my own, you know, I had to restart the practice on my own terms, you know, because that was, to me, the only way that I could also then empower myself.
That must be so tough to restart on your own.
On my own.
Oh my goodness.
Because you don't know where to start.
Yeah.
You know, and your body is not the same.
Oh my God,
you
that
know,
is the
after
worst part.
And then you have kids who are crying, and then I mean, you can so easily say, my mom would always say, Jen, you just had kids. You can just chill out, you know, have your, raise your kids, right? No, mom, I need to. But because you feel like so much time has passed.
And also, do you feel like it's because you had grown up with a lot of your value being associated with your ability to dance?
I think so. And I think that was also cultivated in me, you know, that this meant this.
Yeah.
Which equals success, you know, when it really doesn't. You know, because I couldn't appreciate as well the process. I couldn't appreciate the classroom, the actual practice, because my eyes were set on that stage, because that meant success. So I, you know, it took so many years, maybe like 5, 6, 7 years, to really turn that around, invert it, and say, no, the success is what's happening every day. In your house, in your practice, you know, how do you talk to yourself? How do you affirm yourself? How do you talk to other people? You know, so now I've come to a point where really I don't really need to perform for people, because I'm not a product. I'm not a dancing monkey. I'm really not. You know, I prefer sharing the process. I prefer sharing a class. I prefer sharing experiences with people, rather than, okay, you just sit there. Don't need to ask me anything. You just watch and enjoy. You know, so it's changed. It's changed a lot with how I look at dance.
What about you, Maybelline? Did you ever think in your process of being a dancer for this many years that you would stop? Was there a point?
Also, total opposite from Jen. No, I have never.
I feel like that's like a testament to starting dance a bit later.
You see? That is the solution!
Yeah!
It's the solution.
That
I'm
it was
telling
a
you.
conscious choice for you.
Yeah, because I was much older. I know what I want. I know what I'm getting myself into. I know what I kind of know what I like, and I explore. It's like, I don't really like this, and I'm going to go here. And then, I don't like this. Maybe I'll just stay here. So I think it's just the ability, the awareness to be able to choose what you like and decipher. Oh, wow. You're absolutely right.
Oh, I wanted to say this. A lot of times, okay, so I'm just talking about Indian classical dance, right? So I've seen a lot. I've grown up in the environment. a lot of times, like 98% of the time, moms are sending their children for dance class because they've always wanted to dance.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
this needs to stop, right? It really needs to stop until your child comes up to you and says, "Mommy, mommy, what is that? I want to learn that." I really think that looks fun, because really dance is not fun. When you're starting out, traditional dance, classical dance, it's a lot of repetition. It becomes really boring. So my thing is, I don't want to teach your daughter, because a lot of moms come up to me, "Can you please teach my daughter?" I'm like, no, I want to teach you. You come for my class. I'll teach you.
Oh wow!
And
Flip
then
the switch right on
no,
there.
because then stop it. Just stop it. Because I have taught so many children who come for class, and they're just looking at me like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I know. I don't want to be here either. Because they don't want to be there. They really don't want to be there, until they see maybe, hey, mommy's dancing. That looks like so much fun. I want to join her.
Wow.
That's how you do it. You slowly incept the other way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't force your kids and then, oh my goodness, I see it in my kids. I don't force them to do anything. But once they decide to start something, then you don't simply stop, right?
Yeah.
So you commit, and then we see how it goes.
Yeah.
And then we'll take it from there. But I also, like when we were in school as well, your favorite subject is the teacher who loved the subject the most.
Yeah.
It's because you're a child. You are a sponge.
Yeah.
You are still that lump of clay. You don't know who you are yet. You don't know what you like. But try it out and see. But also be aware, for parents especially, be aware of who is teaching your child and what exactly are their values. What do they do when they're upset? Do they throw a tantrum? Because then your kid is just going to end up doing the same thing. They're going to throw a tantrum when they're upset. And how much do they love dance? And what is it about arts do they like?
Yeah.
Because arts is a touchy subject. Arts is not math. Arts is not science. Arts is not a tuition center you're sending them to. The arts is a very fertile, creative, positive place.
Yep.
It shouldn't be a place that shuts down creativity and shuts down questioning, shuts down emotions, shuts down expressing yourself, because there are all these walls that are built as your kid keeps going for these classes. And then where is then the creativity?
Yeah.
How do we combine both our experience though? Because I feel like even though I know that for classical dancers there's a lot of trauma, there's a lot of things to unlearn, but my insecurity is that I do not have the structure or the technique that you guys have.
I have the same insecurity. So I had to start learning, look for a teacher who inspires me, who I inspire towards, and start from zero. I started from zero a good 3 years ago, and I started from really basic units. I started the alphabets again. And I'm building up. And then now I feel like, because that was my insecurity, I didn't know enough to teach. Because what was I teaching? I didn't know the terms, and I didn't know much, really. I didn't know how to count the beats. I didn't know how to say. I didn't know, So whatever your insecurity is where you need to just spend some time, There's so much information online. Even if it's just, and then finding and figuring out your own structure. I don't think you need a specific way also or methodology. Don't worry about the terms.
But I would say, like, let's say for kids, because when we're older, obviously there's so many other things that we need to do that we don't have the time and dedication or time the kid would have.
Yeah.
But how do we kind of combine the best of both worlds where they're able to have...
I think I had that, honestly. I think even though I know I'm seemingly quite traumatized from it all, but I didn't really have a lot of that. And a lot of it for me, I think it was just like when I was a kid, I would never say my experience with dance was negative. It was only for me and I think a lot of that came from me as well. It was when I was like 14, 15, 16, I mean 15 to 18 was that when I was really, I think, going a bit more crazy about it. But prior to that, I think I had great instructors who always there was a lot of love, a lot of I don't know, they just cultivated this feeling amongst us. Like, and I want to put it out there because I'm so grateful that I had them. It was not negative. It was not like, it was not boring. I don't think I was ever bored dancing until I got older and suddenly, we're doing the drills and the point shoes and your feet are bleeding and you just like want to get out of there. Prior to that, I had that nice balance of, and I don't know how they did it, honestly.
I think maybe when it comes to those years where I think anything you do would kind of be like, because you're starting to question at that age, and maybe it's really then having open conversations then, especially for dance teachers who have had the experience of going through this puberty, the changes in the body, and I think now I feel like there's a lot more representation as well of the ballerinas that you see on stage, of dancers, of the ballroom culture. There's so much more now. Like I feel the spectrum it's a spectrum now. It's not just boxers.
Yeah.
So I
100%.
think it's about that as well, and just having these open conversations, because and then also saying, okay, this happened. And it was a different time.
I think I also had it from my parents that like similar to what you said, like if you want to do it, you can't simply stop. There's no going and coming. If you're in it, you're in it. If you've committed, you're doing it. But my mom would never pressure us to do the exams. That was something that was always like, so for ballet, I think I never did exams until that last few years, and that's when things started to affect me more mentally.
Yeah, the exams are really stressful. I did all the exams.
They're so scary. Like all
and being judged by a white English lady
with the little
with the bell.
What do they do with the bell?
Like,
when you enter,
they ring the bell and your heart starts pumping.
And then you curtsy. Yeah.
And I did it for modern and tap, and I think that was okay, but I think because also my mom didn't pressure us to do the exams, it was because modern and tap, it's not like ballet, like especially tap. Like tap was like I think the thing I was best at. It's fun. It's like more like it doesn't have the it's not rigid like ballet, and it teaches you a lot of rhythm.
I think maybe just prepping you, prepping the students. This is what's going to happen emotionally as well. Saying, okay, you guys are going to freak out. And just have like, figuring out ways maybe to just handle it, I think. Because that stress, we carry on, and that feeling, like before I get onto the stage, until today, I really hate those like last few seconds before you get onto the stage, because your heart is just like, you're not excited in a good way. No. You're really like, and then you start shaking, and every performance is the same. And then you're like, why do I put myself through this every single time?
But then you get on stage.
Then you get on stage.
It's my stage.
This is where I belong. Yeah,
crazy.
I did my first stage performance. I think 3 or 4 years ago now. After almost 6-7 years of not dancing, and it was the first time I had really danced for my teacher again. And I remember that first time we did a routine we have done before, and I could remember it somehow. And we both just cried because it was like, it's still there. It's still there.
It's always there. It's always there. The body remembers. It's incredible what the body remembers. It just knows where to go.
Yeah. And what came back was everything positive in that moment. And even in that performance, there was none of those old feelings. So it really, I think it's also about regulating like yourself.
Yeah.
A lot of it is like regulate those emotions, and remember that at the end of the day, we all danced, and we've continued to dance because we love it. Because it's like one of the best things that ever happened to me. But
talking about like your body memory on a much lighter note, it's so funny. The day last weekend, 2 weekends ago, me and my friends were trying to do a TikTok video, and because the venue was very loud, we can't hear the music at all. We're just like, okay, the steps look really nice. It looks really fun. Let's do it. We're like, okay, but we can't listen to music. It's like, just fuck it. We're just like try and get the pace, the beat, and then we just do it. And like, so we just kind of, okay, I think this is about the tempo. We're like, okay. And this step, we like kind of practice the step. We're like, okay, absolutely did not know the music, and we just film ourselves. And it was so funny how we were like, oh, okay, we don't really know what we're doing, but let's just try it. So we did it, and then we watched our video, and because we couldn't trust ourselves because we couldn't hear the music, but the funny thing is our body was doing it.
yeah.
Our bodies got it fine. Our face was just like, Like we couldn't believe it. We didn't know. The mind didn't believe, but the body could do it.
Body remembers.
Yeah, it's so cool.
And it's a beautiful thing, and that brings me to my last question. Like, dancing, 7 days a week, 5 hours a day, dancing once a week, 1 hour, dancing not at all for years. Are you a dancer forever?
Oh yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. What about you, Apshi?
Yes.
Always.
100%.
100%.
Yeah.
There's nothing in this world that brings me that feeling apart from dance. That is a very unique, happy, joyous release. I can't get it with anything else.
Likewise. And I don't think you need to be a professional dancer or like a prima donna or anything to feel that you identify being a dancer.
Yes.
As long as you're willing to move and you're willing to let music be the lead, you're a dancer.
Yeah, and I think that thank you for saying. I think for so long I was saying, am I not skinny enough to say I'm a dancer? Am I not this enough? All those things that are there. Dancers are all shapes and sizes, all genders, everything.
Yeah, for sure.
Are you a dancer for life, January?
Yes, I am.
Yes. All right, and I think on that note, thank you so much. I think we could have actually gone on for 1 or 2 more hours.
Oh, for sure.
We'll end it here. So, those of you watching, please like, share, comment, subscribe. Stay safe and stay woke. Bye.